this. Let's take you back now to the top story of the day. Forensic for Justice has offered a 1 million reward for any information leading to the arrest of those involved in the killing of Cloete Murray and his son. They were travelling on the N1 towards Pretoria yesterday when they were shot multiple times. Murray's son died at the scene while he passed away in hospital this morning. I'm joined now by Paul O'Sullivan, a forensic investigator for Forensics for Justice. Mr. O'Sullivan, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. You know, this particular killing is quite bizarre, left people with a lot of questions. But we know that beyond being appointed the state liquidator for Bosasa, Mr. Murray was also involved in several high-profile insolvency cases, including corruption within Eskom. Could his death in any way be linked to his work at this point?
Well, we've put up a 1 million rand reward because we do believe that his assassination and that of his son is definitely linked to the work that he's been doing. One has to remember that over the past decade or more, Cloete Murray and his company, Sechalba Trust, have worked tirelessly to recover millions and millions of rand proceeds of crime for the state. So there's no doubt in our mind that his work is linked. It was definitely a hit. This wasn't a drive-by shooting. They absolutely went after him. And it's a sad state of affairs when people think they can do that with impunity. I just want to clarify that the reward is for getting evidence that will lead to the arrest and conviction of the persons behind the shooting. We want to go right to the core of this and find out exactly who was behind it. We cannot have South Africa descend into a state of lawlessness where people who are doing good work are assassinated in broad daylight. And we have no doubt that we will be working very closely with the police, and I'm going to try and get others on board with the 1 million rand reward to push it up higher.
But, Mr. O'Sullivan, this is honestly very disturbing, but just looking at now reports or reaction beyond the death of Mr. Murray, it seems many are trying to even link it to Bosasa, not necessarily Eskom, and have brought up the name of the late Gavin Watson as well. Is there any indication that perhaps it is confined to the Bosasa insolvency matter here, liquidation matter, or it could be any at this point? You just don't know among those insolvency cases that he's been dealing with.
Yeah, I think it's far too early to insinuate it's that investigation or this investigation or whatever. There has to be a proper investigation into the cases he was working on and who would have had benefit from seeing him and his son not around anymore. And that's the area that we'll be asking the police to focus on. And I've this morning spoken to the head of organised crime with a view to getting them to put together a task team by tomorrow that will actually start digging and scratching, and we'll support them in that so that we can in fact find out who was behind it.
And then just generally your views around security in the country and just the lawlessness, because today it's Mr. Cloete, tomorrow it could be Mr. Murray, but tomorrow it could be me or you. It seems that hitmen can do as they please in this country. The only reason most of us are not dead is because perhaps we don't, or we haven't upset certain people in certain quarters as yet.
Yeah, look, I mean, the bottom line is in the last 7 years, there's been 5 attempts on my life. Or the last 8 years, there's been 5 attempts on my life. So we have to take these things seriously, and we need to show that if you want to plan assassinations like this, you will get found out, you will pay the price, and that price will be, if possible, life in prison.
Mr. O'Sullivan, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. That was Paul O'Sullivan, a forensic investigator for Forensic for Justice. There's a 1 million reward for any information that could lead to the arrest of the perpetrator.